Growing up with the help of a Jordanian prince, Tzu Chi volunteers continue to hold aid distributions along the country's border. We meet Wang Zhaoqing and learn about her deadly allergic reaction to the medication she was taking. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Mary Lee. Thank you for joining us. Tzu Chi's love continues to pour into Jordan as Tzu Chi volunteers recently carried out another series of rice distributions along the Jordan-Iraq border. As the security along the border remains shaky, Prince Hassan bin Talal dispatched the Jordanian army to ensure the volunteers' safety throughout the distribution. Despite their limited manpower, volunteers managed to execute the distribution successfully and efficiently.
The air is thick with anxiety and nervousness with the presence of the Jordanian army. Tzu Chi's rice distribution is taking place outside a heavily guarded police compound. A truck carrying Tzu Chi's supplies arrived at the distribution venue along the Jordan-Iraq border.
Please be patient and line up here first.
As thousands of residents wait anxiously to receive their aid, volunteers try their best to maintain order and keep the scene under control. With the help of Prince Hassan bin Talal, the Jordanian army was also mobilized to ensure the safety of the 20 volunteers on site. Bags of 10-kilogram rice were being offloaded the truck and delivered into the hands of local residents.
Thank you, Taiwan. Thank you for the assistance you have provided us.
Over a span of 2 days, Tzu Chi volunteers traveled to 6 locations near the border to conduct rice distributions for 2,000 families. As many of these families are in dire need of aid and support, volunteers made it their mission to deliver love and care to these forgotten corners.
Earlier in December, Typhoon Hagupit struck the central Philippines with strong winds up to 215 kilometers per hour. And though most of the Tzu Chi prefabricated units for Typhoon Haiyan survivors braved the storm just fine, a few units did not. Knowing the importance of these homes, a team in charge of design construction from Taiwan soon arrived in the Philippines to add some reinforcements to help stable the units from further wind damage. Super Typhoon Hagupit made landfall in the Philippines and destroyed many homes in its path, including 15 of the 149 prefabricated housing units Tzu Chi has built. Adding steel anchors to the units to reinforce its stability, the construction design team from Taiwan is hoping these extra touches will help the prefabs stand against Class 13 winds.
When the typhoon struck, the strong winds moved some of the prefabricated housing units, so we are breaking down those that suffered damages.
Anchors are being added on the outside and inside as workers pour cement and position 2 thick steel rod anchors at a 45-degree angle, producing maximum support. Helping with the reinforcement work are cash for work participants, with some of them living in these homes upon completion of the project.
Coming here to work as a casual work participant helps my family a lot, especially financially. Tzu Chi has also taught us useful lessons for life.
I know this will soon be my home. Thank you, Tzu Chi, for your assistance.
As a team leader, I have learned how important it is to be a good role model for the rest of the team. This way, the team members can improve as well.
Remaining determined, workers do not waver in the face of this minor setback, as construction continues to ensure Haiyan survivors will have a safe and secure home to live in. Staying on the topic of the prefabricated houses in Ormoc of the Philippines, over the past 2 months, under the direction of engineers from Taiwan, casual work participants have already assembled 149 units. And as their experience grows, the speed at which they can assemble the prefabs increased as well. Next, let's take a look at a recent competition to see which team can finish building their unit first.
To Today, male and female casual work participants have a friendly competition going on to see who can assemble a prefab faster.
3、2、1、go!
Following 2 months of training, the casual participants know the job well. However, mistakes still happen.
Kasi sir, yung ibang bolt na nilagay.
Just now, there was a sheet and a pillar that we put on backwards. Also, some of the screws we chose were the wrong length.
When putting together this part, if the boards are put in wrong or in the wrong place, it is a big pain, as they have to go back and redo everything.
With women's team looking to make up time after their mistakes, the Tzu Chi volunteers decided to get off the sidelines and offer a bit of help. While over at the men's team, things are going well.
Everyone working here today has a lot of experience in putting together these units and knows where and how to help. Everyone has to be very dedicated. Every morning we tell them why we want them to help with these homes and what is the meaning behind the process.
Regardless of which team finishes first, everyone here today is a winner.
As the Philippines slowly recovers from Typhoon Haiyan, the government is taking steps to move residents out of the high-risk areas near the coast. However, in Ormoc, there remains resistance against the government's plan, as many rely on the sea for a living. To settle fears, Tzu Chi held a consultative meeting to introduce the prefabricated houses it has been building for the residents, and also its plan to provide vocational training for all those interested.
In a consultative meeting in Ormoc's Nonggang village, Tzu Chi volunteers help residents struggling with the question of whether to move or not.
When I think of leaving here, I get very sad.
Most residents here are fishermen who rely on the sea for a living. Following Typhoon Haiyan, any future construction in this area was declared illegal. Despite the dangers, there are several like 72-year-old Manrique who has decided not to move into the housing units Tzu Chi built 20 minutes away. During the 3-hour meeting, most residents, however, expressed a willingness to move into the homes that Tzu Chi has built for them.
Right in the beginning, the Tzu Chi volunteers very clearly told residents that after moving into the prefab housing, Tzu Chi will also offer vocational training so residents can develop new skills and sources of income.
While at the prefab construction site, Catch for Work participant Rachel Centino has been forced to carry the burden of her family since her husband's feet injury 6 years ago.
We depend on the income from my wife. Life is difficult without a doubt. I hope that when my feet heal up, I can make money to support my family.
The same day, volunteers bring Ronaldo to a hospital for treatment, his first since injuring his feet 6 years ago.
With Tzu Chi's help, we have money to buy medicine, and the rest we will use to buy milk powder and diapers. And maybe in the future, my husband can begin working again.
The family's smiles are now a reflection of the hope they feel in their hearts.
Recently, Tzu Chi volunteers from China's Hunan paid some care recipients in the Changsha area a visit ahead of the upcoming winter aid distribution. Upon revisiting the families, volunteers led children in a simple tea ceremony, giving the kids an opportunity to express the love in their hearts. Giving stroke victim Grandpa Yang a bath, Tzu Chi volunteers from China's Hunan are giving Grandma Yang a break from the job of taking care of her husband. In remote areas, important medical information is not as widespread. Thus, volunteers often act as educators as well as a loving friend.
I was in pain last night. My blood pressure was high.
Oh, high blood pressure? You should really watch what you eat. Less salty and oily foods and weeknight meals.
3 months since their last visit, Tzu Chi volunteers brought a lesson on gratitude to this family.
第一口，口说好话；第二口，心发好愿。
Volunteers then encourage the children to express their love.
Show your love by giving him a hug.
Reminded by Tzu Chi volunteers to express her love so others can feel it, the child breaks down sobbing.
我们要不要对父母
We should be filial to our parents, right? See how respectful and considerate your mother is to your grandparents. Don't you want to be like her?
也要像妈妈一样学习孝顺你的妈妈？是的哦。
These continuous home visitations from Tzu Chi have finally opened up a once closed heart. Next, we traveled to Fujian, China to meet 77-year-old Grandpa Wang, who decided to pay Tzu Chi's love forward by donating money to his bamboo coin bank.
Putting on winter bedding and cleaning up around the house, Tzu Chi volunteers are here caring for Grandpa Wang. Next, a volunteer rolls up her sleeves to cook lunch.
I have cooked a vegetarian meal for Grandpa Wang. First, I had to stir-fry the pumpkin, mushroom, black Chinese fungus, Chinese yam, egg, gourd, and tomato. After I stir-fried all the ingredients, I added them to the noodles.
姐姐好不好吃？啊？没办法回答你了。好吃啊。
As Grandpa Wang and his wife divorced years ago, he has been living with his only son. However, following his son's passing, the senior had no one left to care for him. Without someone to talk to, the senior often felt lonely.
今天这么多人来，高兴吗？真的高兴哦。
今天洗完澡，剪过头发，感觉怎么样？
精神很好，精神好。
精神好。
他说舒服多了。
舒服多了哈。好。
这个真的。
很舒服，嘿，好。
真的什么？
真的舒服啊！
真的舒服。
Since 2008, Tzu Chi volunteers have been visiting the senior on a weekly basis. Over the years, the volunteers have become Wang's family, and under the volunteers' encouragement, Wang has decided to pay the love forward.
买东西剩下的，
记账下来。啊，那你投进去要做什么？
进去给人家同样给我比较困难的人。
With his heart now filled with love and warmth, Grandpa Wang promises to continue to help the less fortunate as a way to reciprocate the volunteers' kindness.
Taiwanese love their medicine, but not all medicine can cure. Due to the genetic makeup of the Taiwanese, they are 2.7 times more likely to develop a deadly drug reaction known as the Steven Johnson syndrome. Every year, about 200 people in the country suffer the condition, where the top layer of their skin detaches itself from the rest of the body. If the symptom occurs in more than 30% of the body, the condition is called toxic epidermal necrolysis, which has a mortality rate of 40 to 50%. We now learn more of this deadly allergic drug reaction through the story of Wang Zhaoqing.
You can only understand many things once they happen to you. I didn't realize I have a drug allergy. It was on July 1st of 2013 that I began taking a drug called lamotrigine. By the 15th, I began having a fever and sore throat and had ulcers in my throat. At first, I thought I had a cold and went to see an ENT doctor at a clinic by my house. Little did I know that I was going down the wrong path.
After a series of misdiagnoses, Zhaoqing finally ended up at a medical center, where doctors discovered a dying girl was suffering from toxic epidermal necrolysis due to a drug reaction. But things would get worse.
In this picture, my lips were full of blisters. Look, they were all over my chin as well. Had they burst, infection would be a lot more likely. At that time, 99% of my upper skin layer had come off. I was all wrapped up like a mummy.
Twice, Zhaoqing's parents were told that she was in critical state, and on both occasions they signed a waiver to resuscitate. However, somehow she managed to pull through. This is actually the first time for her to look at the pictures taken from those painful days. Though Zhaoqing survived, she has lost her left eye and has to deal with the aftermath. She now goes back to the hospital up to 6 times a month, needs her eyelashes removed every 3 days, and uses eye drop every hour.
Our cornea is kept moist by our tears, so those without a lacrimal gland cannot use artificial corneas or receive a corneal transplant. Giving me a perfectly healthy cornea would be useless because it would go bad in several days. It would best serve those in greater need.
Actually, the lamotrigine that Zhaoqing took was already listed in the top 10 drug reaction watch list by the Taiwan Drug Relief Foundation. Had she realized that she was having an allergic reaction, things might not have turned out this badly.
Once before, I stopped taking my meds and had an epileptic seizure as a result, so I became terrified of not taking my meds. Even though I was lying in the Taipei hospital in Xinjiang and already had tracheostomy performed on me, I insisted on taking my medicine, which made me worse.
Often, patients are not aware of the symptoms and dangers of allergic drug reactions unless they are told. Even when Zhaoqing sought out medical help, clinics and hospitals failed to diagnose her properly.
Though I have had rashes in the past, I just went and got an allergy shot for them. Typically, when people have an allergic reaction, that's what they would normally do. But now, I think people who do that and disregard allergic reactions like I used to should get a thorough checkup.
Some people might have some slight symptoms the first time they have a reaction, but it could become worse the second time around. If a patient suspects that he or she might be having an allergic reaction, they need to come to us and we will help them figure out if they are really allergic to their meds.
There are various reasons why an individual is allergic to a certain drug, including their genetics and physical makeup, while symptoms can vary as well. But why does a medicine that is meant to help bring about harm to the body?
There is not one drug that is 100% safe. Every medication has its side effects, though not everyone out there will necessarily develop a reaction after taking the drugs.
Zhaoqing's story serves as a stern reminder that we should all pay attention to the medication we take. If we feel uncomfortable after taking a certain drug, we must consult a physician as soon as possible.
Central venous catheter is a tube placed in a patient's veins to quickly administer medication or fluids. This procedure can greatly benefit those who are seriously ill, but at the same time, there's always a risk of infection. Thus, Taiwan's Ministry of Health and Welfare has been promoting upgraded care for CVC patients to minimize the chance of infection and reduce the waste of medical resources. As one of the participants of the program, the Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital was recognized by the ministry for the progress it has made in CVC care.
By having a central venous catheter placed in their body, patients who are in shock, on dialysis or chemotherapy, or critically ill can get immediate treatment. However, studies show that in Taiwan, about 30% of those who receive the procedure develop an infection. Thus, the Centers for Disease Control is promoting upgraded care for CVC patients in the country's hospitals.
After participating in the program, cases of infections in the 5 wards that house CVC patients have been drastically reduced. We have also been recognized for this effort. Now we hope to implement the improvements throughout the whole hospital.
Through training and online study sessions, modifications were made when placing CVC in a patient. Due to such improvements, the hospital was recently recognized by the Ministry of Health and Welfare in several areas.
We held many workshops and invited those working in the ICU and anesthesiologists to participate. We started with a clean slate and re-verified our job at every stage in order to meet the new standards set by the government.
Besides improving its clinical service, the ICU team also made its own instructional video, which also won recognition. Though it is an honor to win awards, it is even better that the hospital can now better care for its patients and maximize the use of available medical resources.
Next, we travel to Kaohsiung, Taiwan to meet recycling volunteer Chen Kunde. Despite having to go through more than 40 chemotherapy treatments for his small cell lung cancer, Chen's determination to shoulder Tzu Chi's missions never faltered. But first, we go to Hong Kong, where Tzu Chi volunteers organized an environmental event in Kowloon.
Do you know what we need to recycle? There are so many items that can be reused. Do you understand?
Knowing that environmental education should start at a young age, the volunteers make sure to pass on such ideals to children. Meanwhile, some volunteers cook delicious meals out of Jingsi food. This is the scene at an environmental event organized by Tzu Chi volunteers in Sao Mau Ping, Kowloon. Through various activities, the volunteers hope to inspire locals to practice recycling.
I'm very supportive of today's event. By holding such an event, I hope more people can learn more about Tzu Chi's environmental ideals. We need to incorporate the concepts taught by the organization into our daily lives.
The volunteers also encourage members of the public to embrace vegetarianism and pass on the concept of eating 80% full and leaving 20% for the needy.
I will probably purchase the vegetarian food introduced by the volunteers. I want to add more variety of food to our meals.
I adopted this bamboo coin bank because I want to help the less fortunate.
Chatting with his fellow counterparts is recycling volunteer Chen Kunde. 7 years ago, Chen discovered that he has small cell lung cancer. At the beginning, his illness did not stop him from carrying out Tzu Chi's missions. Unfortunately, 2 years ago, Chen had to stop volunteering due to his deteriorating health.
I am extremely sad, but I won't complain. I won't ask why my husband has cancer, even though he did so many good deeds on behalf of Tzu Chi.
Keeping the Buddha's teaching in mind, Chen Kunde and Chen Caiying have decided to face his illness bravely. Knowing that it is her husband's wish to shoulder Tzu Chi's missions, Chen Caiying sees every opportunity to give.
I'm Master Zeng Yan's disciple, so I need to help shoulder Tzu Chi's missions. I can't let the Master worry about us.
In spite of his illness, Chen Kunde vows to be Master Zeng Yan's disciple life after life.
In this multicultural country of Malaysia, English is an important language to know as Tzu Chi volunteers look to spread Tzu Chi's message to more people. Thus, the Tzu Chi Kuala Lumpur and Selangor chapter especially went out to recruit English-speaking volunteers to join their ranks. At this latest volunteer training seminar, 16 people came to learn more about Tzu Chi and its ideals. We will leave you with these images at the end of the program. Thank you for watching DaAi Headlines. Goodbye.